remakes are a very common thing for the horror community and industry. We are always going to see remake after remake after reboot after reboot. As long as it makes money, there's always going to be a remake. Which has also put a pretty negative stereotype to remakes. Some remakes are truly absolute garbage, but some of them live up to the original story if the twist is right. I personally am never a fan of a copy-paste reboot or whatever you want to call it. I would much rather see a twist put on the new version of the story. So I think we should look at some of these remakes and reboots and see, are they really worth it? Are they all that bad? Or are they truly all complete garbage? In a section I would like to call Slash or Trash. Well, first on this list is a pretty recent reboot, actually. It was in 2019, and that would be Child's Play. Now, this movie had a lot of mixed reviews in the horror community. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the original Child's Play. It's very dear to my heart. I watch it every year at the same time, pretty much. But I actually really enjoyed the remake. I think that the twist of artificial technology and all of that, or artificial intelligence, whatever, the use of that I think was super effective. And they didn't technically stray too far off of the original story. I mean, they at least had the Andy character involved, and they also did use a original concept for the original Child's Play when it originally came out in '88. So I mean, it's still cool that they used a backup story. I definitely think that this movie is worth the watch, so I think we should just consider it a slash. Next in the bunch of remakes is one of the jillionth reboots of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, titled Leatherface. I hate this movie. I hate this movie so much. I can understand veering off the original story a little bit, but this takes a completely different turn. You see Leatherface is this skinny, halfway decent looking human being who functions like a normal human being, who then turns into a monster at the end, and it's really bad. It's overly gory for no reason, and you can kind of understand the gore in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacres and the ones that even followed after, but this didn't make any sense to me. So for me, Leatherface is 100% trash. On the topic of remakes that aren't terrible, we have It. Now, It was also kind of a controversially type movie. I mean, it definitely had a lot of hype, and in my opinion, it delivered 100%. A lot of people are always going to be nitpicky with any type of adaptation of a Stephen King book or a book in general, because it's never going to be just like the book. That doesn't bother me, because if it was just like the book, it would be predictable. So I like the sense of unpredictability in a movie adaptation. Now, my favorite movie of all time is the 1990 It. I love it to death. So, for me to be okay with the reboot, and you can't really consider it a reboot all that much. The stories are told completely different, and the original 1990 It was a TV miniseries, so I mean, you can't really be too hard on it. So I mean, in my opinion, this is the only film adaptation of It that we've truly seen in depth, and this is probably the closest you're going to see to the book. So for me, it's a slash all the way. I mean, It is one of my favorite horror stories of all time, so I obviously loved it. And of course, you have plenty of slasher remakes. We've seen a good few. But the ones that I would like to talk about are, well, yeah. You have 2010's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I do not like this movie at all. But not because of the portrayal of Freddy Krueger. I do not see this portrayal of Freddy Krueger as bad. I mean, yes, is it different? Is it Robert Englund? No. But you also have to be open-minded enough to understand that Robert Englund's not going to be able to play Freddy Krueger forever. And let's be honest, us horror folk don't want to go that long without seeing any sort of Nightmare on Elm Street film. So I appreciate the attempt, however, the execution was terrible because I could not get behind Nancy and Quentin or Quinn. I don't even remember the other dude's name. It was so flat and bland. I don't like how they put the twist on it that Freddy Krueger might have been innocent. No, he's not. No. So to me, I don't know, they put too much feeling, and then the actors couldn't deliver the feeling, and in my opinion, it was just, well, trash. However, Friday the 13th, I really enjoyed that remake. It was short, it was sweet. They did not go super deep into the backstory of Jason, because, newsflash, we already know what happens to him. We know his mother started going crazy and killed all these teenagers because the counselors weren't watching Jason and he drowned, and we don't need to be told at the beginning of every single movie. So I was glad they just kind of did it short, sweet, to the point. Starts with the movie. Super effective. It's a fun film, so in my opinion, we'll give it a slash. And last but not least, you have Pet Sematary. I am a huge Stephen King fan, so anytime there's a Stephen King adaptation in the movie theater, I definitely am one of the first people there. This movie made me tired in the movie theater. It was just boring. I did not like the twists and turns they put in the movie because they show you in the trailer, and nothing makes me more mad than when you spoil your own movie in the preview to watch your movie. Nobody wants to watch it, you just showed us. But I watched it anyway, and even as a huge fan of the original, I hate it. I won't even buy it. It is terrible. I don't even want to rewatch it. I did not enjoy that film. So that is trash times 3. So 3 trash for Pet Sematary. So even though there's plenty of remakes on this list that definitely deserve to go right in the garbage and cannot be redeemed whatsoever, not all of them are bad. I mean, you have a handful. So it's one of those things you just have to cross your fingers and hope. Are we going to see more remakes of probably these movies? Absolutely. But then we can go back and see if they're good or not. So I guess that just means you should keep watching the remakes, and you never know if you'll find a good one. But again, you keep watching scary movies, and I'll just keep rating them to see if they're garbage or not.